just to summarize the very last thought. So we've been speaking about how this world is the lowest of all worlds, and yet nonetheless there is still hope, if you recall. So we go according to, I think it was Voltaire, and not according to Leibniz, right? That this world is the worst of all worlds, but we add the fact that there is still hope. Why is it the worst of all worlds? We said that's because evil is more dominant in this world than in any other world. In the world of emanation, it doesn't exist. It's only holiness. And as you go down and God light is contracted towards this world, then there is more room for evil because God is more and more concealed. Now, speaking of the evil in this world, we also introduced some Kabbalistic terms. We spoke about Sitra Achra, the other side, which refers to the evil that really cannot be redeemed, at least not until Mashiach comes. And then there is what's called Klipat Noga, which is evil that can be redeemed. It's more like the neutral side that can be used either for the good or for the bad. And now the word Klipa means peel. And that is because indeed it serves like a peel over the holiness in this world. If we are able to uncover the peel, just like we do in a fruit, for example, then we can reach the fruit and taste the sweetness of the fruit. So it is in this world. If we're able to really tackle those klipot, those peels, and reveal the holiness that is hiding within them, then we'll be able to redeem also that holiness, redeem the fruit, so to speak, and then taste its sweetness. So those are the terms that we've been speaking about relating to the evil in this world. Again, the Sitra Achra and the Klipot, the husks or the peels. And we're continuing now with these terms, and maybe even with the Tanya suggestion on how to deal with them, how to deal with these Klipot. So let's continue here again, as mentioned, as Margot mentioned on page 169. Does anyone want to read? Bottom of page 169 here in opening the Tanya. Anyone?
If nobody else wants to, I will.
Okay, go for it, Margot.
I always feel so badly that nobody else wants to read, but okay. Klipot.
You know, there's a teaching in the ethics of our fathers. I don't mean to deviate. Bimkom she'ein ish, hishtadel liot ish. And when there is no man, be a man, or be that person. Step up to the plate.
I'll step up.
Thank you for stepping up to the plate. I'm not saying that there's no people, no persons here, but no one there, no one who can read. So please go ahead, please.
Okay. Klipot, husks, is an alternate term for Sitra Achra, the other side, expressing the concept that the other side is the external intrinsic element, the element that serves as the husk for the fruit, protecting and preserving the inner content. When speaking of the various levels in the realm of unholiness, the author refers to it as Klipa rather than Sitra Achra. Sitra Achra is the generalized description expressing only the concept that this realm is not holy. Thus, we cannot speak of various levels in a phenomena that is defined solely in terms of what it is not. Klipa, on the other hand, is a positive definition describing the function of the non-holy elements of creation. In this context, we can distinguish between various forms of this function and discuss the two primary levels of Klipa.
Right. So it's interesting because, you know, I want to use two other Hebrew words that refer to that which is forbidden, or the Sitra Achra, as he's referring to here, the other side, that's completely evil, forbidden, and therefore it is forbidden because there is no way to redeem those levels of the world. And then there's what's called the Klipa, that which may be permitted. But even in the realms of that which is permitted, we must act in a holy way to be able to redeem the fruit that is lying underneath it. So what's interesting is those two Hebrew words really are asur and mutar. We use them quite often in Hebrew. Asur means forbidden, mutar means permitted. But it's interesting to note that asur also comes from the word imprisoned, from the word asir. And mutar comes from the word untied, almost like lahatir kesher, we say in Hebrew, to untie a knot. Now, the reason forbidden is called forbidden, it's not just because it's forbidden, asur, but because it's also imprisoned. Those sparks of holiness are completely imprisoned by evil that is not allowing those sparks to be redeemed. And therefore it's forbidden. Therefore it's asur. Therefore we relate to them as in prison. On the other hand, you also have a realm of this world, and I hope I'm making sense, but there's another realm of this world, or the realm that is permitted, that might not be bad, but it could become bad if we use it for the bad, right? And therefore, we must enter that realm of that which is permitted and channel those forces towards holiness, lehatir et hakesher, so to speak, to not just make it permitted, but to untie the knot, to untie the peel, so that the sweetness of the fruit is revealed. And really, that's the way we deal with the world altogether. I think that there are many areas in this world, from eating, we spoke about this in the past, from eating to, I don't know, to sleeping, to sports, many areas of life altogether that may be categorized as neutral areas, right? There's nothing bad about sleeping. There's nothing bad about eating. It can become bad if we eat in a gluttonous way. Sleep can become bad if we oversleep and forget to live our purpose in life. But in and of themselves, they're not bad. Now, God here demands us, and the Tanya suggests that we enter those areas of that which is permitted, again, of sleep, of food, of sports. I can think of other examples too, and I'm sure you can too, and make them holy. So when you eat, let it become a holy experience. Say the blessing over the food. Remember that you're eating not just for the pleasure of it, but also to then use the energy of the food to serve God himself. When you sleep, do the same thing. You're not just sleeping for pleasure. You're also sleeping to regain your strength, so that the next day you can really tackle all that needs to be tackled in life and fulfill your purpose. So we can and we even must enter the realm of the permitted in order to then elevate it to the side of holiness. Otherwise, the realm of the permitted remains a peel. It remains something that hasn't been untied, a knot that hasn't been untied. It's mutar, it's permitted again, but you haven't used the opportunity and seized really the opportunity that is waiting for you even to reveal the holiness within. I think it's probably the most important level of consciousness we should have in life, that wherever we go, whatever we do, I know most of us are doing things that are permitted, but it's not enough to just do things that are permitted. We must also, again, untie the knot. We must be able to redeem the holiness, even in the realm of the permitted. That's much harder. But if we come to the realm of the permitted with that level of consciousness, then no doubt we can really create holiness in every moment of the day, even in food, even in sleep, even in all of those other neutral activities. It really transforms the way one can live. It turns life into such a meaningful experience. I know it's not maybe possible to live like that 24/7, but at least a few hours of the day when I'm just conversing with someone, right? There's nothing wrong with speaking to people, schmoozing with people, nothing wrong. But if you use that conversation to sneak in a word of holiness, you've now untied the knot, mutar. You've really revealed the spark of holiness that may have remained concealed if you have just spoken about the baseball scores of last night. And I'm sorry if you're a Dodgers fan because they lost at the bottom of the ninth. But still, I really believe that every single moment of life, and this is what the Tanya is suggesting here, is a moment in which we can untie the knot and we can release the fruit that is hiding within the Clipa and really share its sweetness to all. So that's a whole different level of consciousness, but again, something that can transform life itself and the experience of living itself. Okay, I want to hear your comments, your questions, disagreements, and so on, because that's what it's all about.
Rabbi, you reminded me of a joke.
Yes, please, William.
Did you know that God was a baseball fan? Is a big baseball fan?
He is. I did not know, no.
Because the Torah starts in the big inning.
Very good.
Sorry.
No, big inning. Very good. Excellent. That's good. That's good. It's a good one. Thank you. Yeah. But there you go. You brought God into baseball. You made it holy now. That's the point. Okay. All right. Let's continue. Let's continue a little bit more, unless again, any other comments, disagreements. Let's go. Bottom of page 169. The lower grade.
The lower grade consists of 3 klipot, which are altogether profane and evil, containing no good whatsoever, in the chariot of Ezekiel. A prophetic vision of the divine attributes as perceived by the prophet Ezekiel and recorded in the first chapter of the book of Ezekiel follows. They are called storm, wind, great cloud. The verse ends with, and flaring fire.
Right.
From these flow and derive the souls of all the nations of the world and the existence of their bodies, the souls of all living creatures that are impure and prohibited for consumption, and the existence of their bodies, the existence and vitality of all prohibited foods of the vegetable kingdom, such as the fruits of the first 3 years of the tree, and the mixed seeds in the vineyard, etc., as explained in Eitz Chaim, Portal 49, Chapter 6. These klipot are total. Should I go on?
Yeah, good. So that we can elucidate this.
Okay, these klipot are totally evil, and they are the root for whatever manifests itself as evil in whatever way. In his notes on Tanya, Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Schneerson, father of the Lubavitch rabbi, points out that although elements from the 3 utterly profane klipot are in the 3 of the 4 kingdoms, the human kingdom, the animal kingdom, and the vegetable kingdom, there are no such elements in the inanimate kingdom. The reason for this is that the inanimate kingdom derives from the divine attribute of Malchut, kingship, in which there is no collapse, in the primordial bursting of the vessels, that is the source of Clipa, but only a nullification as stated in the Zohar, earth was nullified. Also deriving from and sustained by the 3 utterly profane klipot.
Okay, yeah. Let's just pause here. I know these are very, very deep, profound Kabbalistic notions. For example, the bursting of the vessels that you just read about, or even the klipot themselves, or the kingdoms and the sephirot that exist in each of the kingdoms. Let's just pause for a second and really go one by one. First and foremost, we speak about these 3 klipot. When we say the 3 klipot, that's what is also referred to as the Sitra Achra, the other side that we spoke about. The 3 klipot, which means the 3 husks or the 3 peels, are the parts of the world that cannot be redeemed. And therefore, they are considered to be completely forbidden or asur. They are imprisoned until Mashiach will come. And Mashiach will be the time when most of these forbidden areas can be then permitted once again. That's when the prisoners will be freed, so to speak. The sparks that are in prison will be freed. So that exists, that pertains to all of the negative commandments of the Torah. There are 365 commandments in the Torah, and they all really belong in the realm of the 3 klipot, shalosh klipot atmeot, or also what is known as Sitra Achra. You name one of them. For example, do not steal. Let's go to the 10 commandments. Do not steal. That falls under that category. Do not murder. That falls under this category. Do not gossip. That falls under this category. Gossip cannot be redeemed. Gossip is something that we can't enter. It's not a world that we can say, oh, I'm going to gossip someone, but I'm doing this to reveal a spark of holiness. We can't do that. It's not possible. Maybe the level of consciousness when Mashiach will come will be so high that we'll be able to relate to gossip as a surgeon relates to a surgery, and then dissect every part of it and then reveal the spark. But for now, gossip is forbidden. It's not redeemable. So there are areas that are completely forbidden, and those are the 3 klipot atmeot. Just to explain that terminology or that term. The second that we spoke about here is the storm wind and the great cloud that appear in the prophecy of Ezekiel, or flaring fire. It's right at the beginning of the first chapter of Ezekiel, in which he has the prophecy of what is referred to as Maaseh Merkava, in which he sees the chariot of God. It's a chariot that basically carries the presence of God from the upper worlds to this world. It's a chariot with 4 wheels. Each wheel is really the face of a different animal. We won't go into it too much, but what's important to know regarding this subject right here, the redemption of the sparks, bear with me for just a little bit as we explain these terms, is that as the chariot is really carrying God, so to speak, from the upper worlds to this world, there is a lot of noise. There is a lot of commotion. That's the storm wind, the great cloud. Why? Because not everyone agrees for God to come down to this world. The angels, for example, when the Torah was given, debated God, as the Talmud points out, saying to God, how dare you give such a holy script, the Torah itself, which is really divine, a part of you, God, to human beings that are flawed, that are filled with mistakes, that will maybe contaminate your Torah. So there's a lot of noise, a lot of fire, a lot of wind, a lot of great clouds, as this chariot is transporting God. And that's really what this is referring to. Now, God still did not listen to the fire, but still creates a lot of opposition. And that's why, really this is based on this prophecy. That's why, and I'm sure many of you have felt it. That's why whenever there is a blessing about to come, a blessing which almost encloses the divine, there might be some opposition to it. It might come with a lot of challenges. Maybe that's how God created this world. You know, we spoke of the ethics of our fathers. One of the Mishnahs in the ethics of our fathers is Lefum Tzara Agra. According to the suffering is the reward. Now, some suffering is unfathomable, and there's no reward to the suffering, and that's really beyond our mind, beyond the grasp of the mind, of the human mind at least. But a lot of the suffering in this world really is almost like giving birth. It's pain that is about to give birth to a beautiful new blessing. Nothing in this world happens, or no great blessing in this world happens in a smooth sailing way, so to speak. I think most blessings in this world come with a lot of pain first. No pain, no gain. Maybe that's why that expression. But it is rooted in this Kabbalistic idea that when there is when there's a great blessing, there's also great storms that precede it. Just like the great storms that are coming towards this chariot of God that is descending from the upper world to this world. And therefore, whenever we face opposition, we should know really that it's a sign that great things are to come. Because that's the way God created this world. Nothing good comes without a little bit of pain. I think on a human level, I think we can all relate to this. Maybe the times of growth in our own personal lives were also the times of our greatest challenge. But it's that greatest challenge that led us to also the greatest growth that we experienced in life, the moments of greatest growth. And I think it's true, Einstein even said it, that great minds, I don't remember the quote verbatim, but if you do, please share it. But great minds will almost always face violent opposition. No, he uses the word violent. But I don't remember the exact quote, but something like that. Because when there's great minds, there's always violent opposition to this greatness. You know, the people who have no positions are the people that are buried in the cemetery. There, it's very calm. There's no storm, there's no wind, there's no great cloud. But if you're living and if you're achieving, you'll face opposition. But on the other hand, the pain sometimes is an indication to the gain that will come. I think that's true also for the word crisis in Hebrew. I don't know if we've shared this in the past, but the word for crisis in Hebrew is mashber. Mashber is really the biblical word that speaks of the stool on which pregnant woman would give birth. And the reason a crisis is called a mashber is because we are telling the person, we know you're going through a crisis, but it's like that mashber. You're about to give birth to something great. So hang on, just like these pregnant women had to hang on, that mashber is going to give birth to a beautiful baby, to something great. Anyway, so that's the great storm. That's to explain that term, and we can go back to them as we go along. And
I don't think we should welcome pain.
Sorry?
I don't think we should welcome pain.
No, of course not. I don't think we should welcome pain. I don't think we should ask God for pain. In fact, we ask God for the opposite. You know, I think the Amidah is all about asking God for the opposite. But when it comes,
It happens.
yeah, when it comes, then we have to say to ourselves, all right, hopefully this is a sign that something great is to come.
I'm referring to those Middle Ages, the Hasidim in the Middle Ages in Germany, not the same as Hasidim today, who self-flagellated and went in the snow naked and so on to have pain to get closer to God in their
All right.
minds.
Yeah, I don't know if those were Hasidim. I mean, I know
They're referred to as Hasidim.
I know the followers of Shabtai Tzvi would.
No, before this, before that.
Before that, then it's before the times of the Hasidim. Yeah, look, there are cults in this world. I mean, I don't know if you remember the book, the Da Vinci Code, that speaks of the Opus Dei. That right? You remember that book? Became famous a few years ago. But of people who really torture themselves, it still exists. You find that in all sorts of religions and cults, people torturing themselves. No, you're right. Judaism doesn't believe in that whatsoever. But I'm talking about, when pain does come, because there is no life without pain, then we have to relate to it as hopefully something that is giving birth to a great blessing. I think that's the best way to relate to pain. We don't welcome pain. We don't want pain. And we ask God to remove all pain. But when it does come, then we have to ask ourselves, okay, how can we transform this into something great? How can we turn this indeed into a great blessing? I don't know why. The story of, I think his name was Harvey Spencer, the inventor of the microwave, comes to mind. The inventor of the microwave was a man who lost his father when he was 2 years old, I believe. His mother couldn't raise him, so she gave him up to be raised by his uncle. His uncle then passed at the age of 8, if I remember correctly. He went from school to school, dropping out of every school he ever attended. Eventually, at the age of 18, he joined the army, the American army. And then they realized that he had some talent in electrical engineering. So they put him, this was in the 1940s, or even before in the 1930s, they put him in the unit that was in charge of creating these radar sets. That was new in the time to detect planes, enemy planes from coming. And one day he was working one of those radar sets, and he realizes that the chocolate bar that he had in his pocket all of a sudden melted. And he said to himself, it's not hot today. How could it have melted? So he instead of panicking, right, he experienced some pain. Instead of panicking, I would have panicked. Oh gosh, now I have to dry clean my pants, and But he says to himself, it must come from these radar sets. He brought a corn kernel, and he put it in front of the radar set, and created the first popcorn of history. And he said, gosh, now I have a good invention. And soon enough, he created the first microwave in history, which was huge, 6 foot tall, 750 pounds, and it costed a fortune, I think some $5,000. But slowly over the years, it became smaller and smaller. And today, almost everyone is a microwave. Now, I'm saying to myself, look at this man. He approached pain in a Jewish way. It came inevitably because he was working with these radar sets, and the chocolate that he had in his pocket melted. But he embraced it. And he said, okay, what can I learn from this? How can I turn this into a blessing? And he turned it into an invention. Whether it's great or not, it could be a good invention, maybe not, but it doesn't matter. He transformed his pain into gain. There's a great expression, I think comes from one of the Kabbalistic sources that says that don't tell God how great your problems are. Tell your problems how great God is.
Yeah.
And if you can relate to those problems in a divine way, then maybe they can be transformed into blessings. Not that we welcome problems again, but that's the idea. There's always great fire, great storm, flaring fire, storm wind, and great clouds when chariots are coming down. So that's that. Then just the other term I do want to explain also, again, these are very deep Kabbalistic terms, is the 4 kingdoms. So there are 4 kingdoms as elucidated here: the human kingdom, the animal kingdom, the vegetable kingdom, and the inanimate kingdom, or domem tzomeach chai medaber, as they are called also. Now, the human kingdom is called the speaking kingdom, really. That's the better translation. And the animal kingdoms, now the vegetable kingdom, and then the inanimate kingdom. These are four realms in which we live. This world is made of these four kingdoms. Now, the Clipot that we've been speaking about really have full control over the first three: the human kingdom, the animal kingdom. Animals are controlled by impulses, controlled by instincts. They have no ability whatsoever to have their minds really control those impulses, and therefore channel the impulses into direction of holiness. So they're almost controlled by those klipot. Same with vegetables. Not again that they are evil, but they have no say of their own. They're almost robotic. And when you're a robot, it's considered like as if you were also somewhat imprisoned by your impulses, imprisoned by your DNA, imprisoned by that which is maybe natural, and you can't imply the supernatural on these natural, because again these klipot are imprisoning you. So the vegetable kingdom, and then you have the inanimate kingdom too, which, you know, the rocks, anything that doesn't move. So these are the four kingdoms. And by the way, they've spoken about quite a bit in Kabbalah, because in a way that the task of the human being in this world is to tackle those four kingdoms. That's one of the big differences between Judaism and other religions. And that is that we are asked to engage in this world. For us, a holy man is not someone who meditates on the Tabechian mountains 24/7, and it doesn't speak and doesn't engage in this world. For us, a holy man is someone that does engage with this world. It's the difference between, you know, rabbis and Catholic priests, for example. We're asked to get married, to pay bills, to go out to the world. And the whole reason for that is so that we can tackle those four kingdoms
and make children
and have children. That's right. With all of the headaches and the gray hairs that they give you. But still, we are asked to tackle those four kingdoms. And again, in order for us to elevate them, we're God's actors in this world. And the more we can tackle those four kingdoms and transform them into something holy, the more those trees are thanking us. Those animals are thanking us. You know, those inanimate objects are thanking us. When we walk in the streets and we have good thoughts in our mind, the rocks are saying, thank you. You're elevating me. I couldn't do that myself. I'm completely imprisoned by those klipot. But you now doing this for me, on me, is elevating me. Same with trees, or again, the fruits, the vegetables that we eat. When we say a blessing and we use that energy to do something good, then we're elevating those trees, elevating those fruits and vegetables. So those four kingdoms are the kingdoms of this world, but the human being is really the main character in those kingdoms, because the human being has the ability really to draw down God's presence in these four kingdoms and make them holy. So that's yet another big Kabbalistic idea. Then some more things that are spoken about here, but really those are that's the meat of it.
Where do the angels fit into all this?
So that's a good question. So angels really are not of this world. They come, you know, in Kabbalah, we are told that angels come from the world of formation, which is Olam HaYetzirah, which is the third of the four worlds. We're the fourth world. They're in the world just above that. Now, angels visit this world. In fact, that's very apropos, because it's in this coming parasha, in this coming portion, where Abraham, after circumcising himself and his household, he was visited by three angels that came disguised as human beings. They each carried a different task for this world. So angels are almost like aliens, if you believe in aliens, that come to this world on specific missions, and then they leave this world. We live, on the other hand, we live in this world. We're part of this world. We're also not of this world. We're in this world. Angels are not in this world. They visit. But task of angels, yeah. The big difference is that angels really, even when they come to this world to impact this world, they impact it in a very in a very specific and limited way. We as human beings, and as human beings that carry souls that are higher than angels, our souls, by the way, come from the world of creation, which is the second now of the four worlds. So we're higher than angels. We have the power really to transform this world, something that angels don't have. Because we have that soul that can, it's almost like, remember the analogy, like an atomic bomb. Atomic bomb, that just a little bit of it can create a lasting difference. That's why, back to Ezekiel, when he compares us to angels, the words that he uses, that's the verse, which means that I have given you people that walk in between those people that stand. The commentaries explain that the angels are the ones that stand. They can't really progress in life. They're like robots, can't progress, and they can therefore create progress in life. Human beings, on the other hand, are people that walk, that can move things, that can really progress in life and make things progress. That's really the main difference between the two. Human beings, we as divine beings, really, that's the way we should be called, are therefore much more powerful than angels. The great
only angel I know is my wife, but she's not always an angel.
Sweet.
You don't see the angel in her all the time, but she's always an angel. Yeah. You know, there's a great story. Esther Jungreis was a Holocaust survivor, became a famous speaker. She wrote a few books also. And she tells the story in one of her books. I forget, I'm trying to remember the name of the book. But again, the name is Esther Jungreis. And she tells the story of how she was in a concentration camp as a young girl with her father, who was also in that concentration camp. And every single week, her father would tell her and the siblings that were with her in that camp to save the crumbs that were given to them by the Nazis as much as they could for Friday night, for Shabbat dinner. And every Friday night, he would gather them, of course, in a very secretive way. And he would tell them, take out your crumbs that you've gathered this year, or your potato peels, or whatever it was that you could gather, and let's have Shabbat dinner together. But before that, I'm going to ask you to close your eyes and sing Shalom Aleichem to welcome the angels of Shabbat, as is the custom before Shabbat dinner. Then close your eyes and think of that delicious smell of the challah coming out of the oven of your mother. And he would ask them to do all sorts of things. And at one point, Esther Jungreis couldn't take it. One Friday night, she tells her father, "You're telling us to welcome the angels of Shabbat? How can there be angels? It's such an evil place. Angels don't come. There are no angels here. All we can see is evil." And the father told her, "No, the angels I'm relating to are not those angels somewhere up there. The angels I'm referring to are the angels that I see in you. Each of you is an angel. I want you to welcome that angel within you to the Shabbat dinner, even though it was no dinner, right? Just a few crumbs and potato peels." But reminded of that story because really that angel in here is much more holier and in a way greater than the angels in the world of formation. And when we're able to put that angel to work, that angel in here, and exercise its potential, then we can transform the world like no other angel can do. But just to quote the words of the Tanya, I think it's in chapter 26, but it's just a powerful line. I wish everyone knew this, especially addicts, by the way. I think it's a whole transformative, a whole new 12-step program can be written about this. But the Tanya says elsewhere that when a human being, us Jews, when we have the ability to exercise self-control, when we're tempted by something, yet we exercise self-control and we don't fall in that temptation to then seduction, then a great light emanates from our soul and it goes all the way to the throne of glory, and that light makes the angels tremble And the merit of that light, God then blesses us with many, many, many abundant blessings just for controlling ourselves. Now that light, it's not a light that angels can control. Only we can control. It's not a light that angels can create. Sorry, only we can create this light because we're tempted. We're human beings that are tempted. Angels are not tempted. They're not of this world. So this world doesn't speak to them. But when we exercise that self-control, we create a light that no angel can ever relate to. They tremble in front of that light. Now imagine coming to every temptation with that thought, that by controlling yourself right now, you're creating this light that angels are trembling in front of, and it's going all the way to the throne of glory, and God is blessing you in return many times more. I think that it could really change the way we approach temptations. But again, it relates to the power of divine being versus angels.